Welcome to another episode of the Writer's Game podcast, where we help you magnify your voice and monetize your message. Are you somebody that is in a leadership position, whether you are a civilian or a military professional, somebody that wants to be a better leader, but you seem to be missing some of the methodologies, the strategies, and the steps? You've read all of the self-help books. You've read all of John Maxwell's leadership books, but you need a coach. You need an expert, and you need somebody to be able to help you understand how to lead the way you want to be led. This guy today is amazing. He is a military expert. He's getting ready to transition from his military profession for years, and he's getting ready to change the way that you think about leadership. Greg, how you doing?
Hey, thanks. That introduction is woo. That's a good one. I appreciate the kind words, and thank you so much for having me on the show.
I appreciate you for being here. So before we get started, can you just introduce yourself in a way that doesn't use any personal or professional titles? And then how are you using your gift to be able to transform lives?
I will start by saying, ever since I was probably in my early 20s, my dad has always said that I had a gift for brightening up the room and getting people to see the best in themselves. And I almost didn't believe him for the longest time until my career took me to a position where being in charge and taking care of others was part of the job. And I found that I'm truly passionate about seeing others succeed and being part of that journey with others. So that's kind of my my intro to how I became, so passionate about leadership and so passionate about helping others become the best of themselves. I think one of the things that corporate America is learning and still has a lot to learn is that we are leading because I'm the boss. And if you have to tell people that work for you that I'm the boss, do as I say, you've totally missed the boat.
It's interesting, and you said a lot in that introduction, which I appreciate. You talked about you believe in this ideology of brightness, one, and then you continue to transition and talk about how a lot of people, essentially, whether it's in corporate America, whether it's in industry, the marketplace, have an ideology of leadership in a way like, I'm the boss, and because I have this specific title, you're supposed to essentially do what I'm requesting of you to do. Why is it important for you as a leader to teach other leaders or people in general the actual ways of going about creating a culture of leadership where it's inclusive as well?
Well, good question. I think part of like my era, when I grew up, it was you do what your boss says because it's the boss. And that's just the way it was. But as our generations change and our generations start thinking, hey, I want to do this, because information is plentiful in our society. I jokingly say Dr. Google can get you all the answers that you need. But here's where the problem lies is that this younger generation, they want a little bit more of why am I doing it? Exactly. And if people can understand the why behind the work, I say that people will work better. And you can't just simply say, hey, do this because what happens is that those people who start at the ground floor, they start working their way up, and someone asks them why, and they'll go, they don't know why they're doing what they're doing. Exactly. So if you explain to your people from the beginning why they're doing something, when they become the manager, the supervisor, the CEO, they'll be able to explain, and people take ownership. We have this thing in the military with vehicles, military vehicles. We put the name of the driver on the vehicle. And normally the vehicle driver is a lower enlisted person. Why do we put their name on the vehicle? Because it's ownership. They own that vehicle. So if your people understand why they're doing something, they're going to own the task that you give them.
That's good. That is amazing perspective, because it's creating a sense of ownership. You know, a leader of mine exposed me to this concept years ago. A mentor, a leader, somebody that I truly am admired by still to this day. He said, "I want you to look at this position like if you were the CEO, if you were the owner of this business, how would you go about doing this specific task? And I want you to treat every responsibility that is given to you as if you are in charge of this specific department, of this specific business." And what that helped me understand is that I'm not just here for a role, I'm here for a reason.
Mm.
And I think that a lot of people that are listening right now, whether you're watching the live or the recording, good leaders inspire reasons, not just roles. And that's what you're communicating to me. So, what would you recommend be the first step for somebody to start to enhance their leadership abilities?
Well, there's a couple things, but I think some of the most important ones are kind of obvious. Number one, know your job. And I know that sounds simple, but people are trying to learn from you if you're the supervisor. And if you don't know your job, how are you going to teach them how to do theirs?
That's good.
I think the next thing is like we talked about, give them the why behind the work, give them the purpose. The days of do as I say because I'm the boss, those days are over, you know? And I think one of the other things that a lot of good leaders use, well, I'm busy because I have meetings, and we all have meetings, we all Zoom calls, we all have different things going on. But guess what? Take time to know your people.
That's good.
People want to stay in an organization where they feel valued. So if you value your people, they're going to value you. And I tell you what, I've been in organizations where it seems like the leader is what we call checking the block. They're like, "Yep, I talked to 3 employees today. I've done my job. I'm going to go back." Leadership is a participation sport. See this desk I'm sitting at? You can't lead from behind the desk. You have to get out there. And I don't care. One of the things that I did was I set an alarm on Outlook or whatever your calendar you use, and it would say, "Get up." And that told me, I said, okay, I have been behind this desk too long, and I need to get up and just mingle, talk to people, get to know your employees, because the day when they come in and something just doesn't sit right, you'll know what it is. And they are seeing problems that you don't see, because when the boss comes around, how's everything? Everything's great. No problems at all. And they're lying because they don't want to disappoint you, or they don't want to get themselves in trouble. So, make sure that you get out there and see the people that are working for you.
It's interesting how well you're able to just explain what leadership not only is by definition, but what it's supposed to look like. And I think that is a testament to your career success, the many roles that you've been able to have, and also the people that you've been able to lead as well. We wouldn't be able to move forward in this show if we weren't able to understand what is your actual background, what helped you learn these philosophies of leadership, and how is this foundation that the military provided helping propel your career forward?
You normally don't use this word luck, because I define luck as the hard work other people don't see. But you don't necessarily get to pick your boss. And I was lucky enough to have, generally speaking, in the 30 plus years that I spent in the military, that I have had good leaders. And they taught me what right looked like. So I always felt that it was my duty to give them the same. One of the things I think that the military does very, very well is that as you move up the ladder, you have leadership training courses that you are put through before you can get to the next level. So it teaches you everything from, try to make sure I use my civilian words, conflict resolution. It tells you how to do, quarterly, yearly employee appraisals. Hey, this is what you're doing well. This is what you're not doing well. And here's the plan for us to get there.
That's good.
And that can, for some, can be difficult because as we like to, I learned very quickly is there's a difference between, wait for it, likership and leadership.
That's good.
You can be liked by your people, but your job, I don't care what organization you belong in, is to produce results. Because if you don't produce results, you're going to get that knock on the door and someone's going to say, well, we're going to give you an opportunity to succeed someplace else. Those who didn't get that, that means you got fired. So I think the military has been very good with me and putting me in different positions to succeed. And a lot of times you have to be able to react to some very uncomfortable situations and still be able to lead. Why? Because you are the heartbeat of your organization as a leader. If you freak out during times of crisis, no matter what it is, yes, military, our situations with deployments and stuff are difficult, but I can imagine it's very, very stressful for a CPA on, the whole month of April who's trying to do taxes and they've got people calling them and or a lawyer preparing for court, or you got a writer's deadline that you've got to get this manuscript in. Whatever that stressful time is, your people need to see you cool as a cucumber. Why? Because you are the heartbeat of your organization.
It's special to hear that a lot of these skills that you've learned in the military are transferable into so many other areas. I love how you gave the example of, meeting that writer's deadline, a CPA meeting the challenges with, the accounting profession, and a lawyer preparing for that specific case or a closing within a case. And all of it, in a nutshell, is being able to keep your composure, navigate the specific challenges in a specific given role, communicate the reasons and the why behind a role, be involved with your people on a face level, a day-to-day, and being able to be the leader that is inspiring their people through action, not just communicating through lip service. Greg, I'm interested in learning your background and how long you were in the military, and what was one of the biggest things or lessons that you've learned that has really been able to be something that has stayed with you today?
My total time, I haven't retired yet. When I retire, I would have served for 33 years active duty the entire time. Let's just say my first half of that career, I worked in emergency medicine, generally as a paramedic, providing medical support for, a variety of organizations. And then I had a boss who said, hey, you would be a good officer. So, but I was like, oh, I don't have college and blah, 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 blah. There was a lot of things. And plus at the time I was, for Army's sake, I was old. So, how do I explain? A waiver. So I had to get an exception to policy for my age and for several other things. And I had to go through all this process. And then in 2008, I became a military police officer. So I, do law enforcement, security, investigations, et cetera, et cetera. I've loved it. I've loved the last 30 plus years. It's been a great experience. And I get this question about what did you learn out of the military? And I think one of the biggest lessons is hard does not mean impossible. There was a leadership school. It's called the Army Ranger School. And you go through how to lead small teams under some serious conditions. So people you can recreate stressful environments by taking away certain things from people. One is sleep, and two is food. All right. So we were given these things called meals ready to eat. I went during the summertime, so we were only allowed one a day. And you're walking, carrying about 120 pounds on your back. So how does that relate to corporate America? The environments that you're in is hard. But the true leadership test is you are leading people who are tired and they're hungry. And to be able to lead people under the most stressful conditions is one of the things that I will take to whatever organization is kind enough to give me a job post Army.
No, I
had to throw that plug in there.
No, no, right.
But it is hard doesn't mean impossible. Yes, it was difficult, but guess what? Hard doesn't mean impossible. It's only hard until it's not. And your body, your mind starts to keep going. Yep, you're going to get tired. Yep, it's going to be miserable. But by the time you get to the end and you graduate from Ranger School, you have accomplished something that most people are scared to do. Some of them can't do, and most of them don't even want to try to do.
That's good.
And I think it's no different than writing a book. Everybody says, "Oh, you're an author?" Yes. Or you're a CEO? Yes. It's hard to get there, but it's not impossible. The other thing I think for me was I surrounded myself, and this is a continuous evaluation of being around the right people. We always hear, your parents used to always tell you, birds of a feather flock together, right? So if you hang out with individuals who are broke, guess what? You are probably going to be broke. Exactly. But if you hang out with people who are going to give you bits and pieces of knowledge to help you become a better leader, then people say, well, wow, how did you get there? I said, well, I'm not hanging out with a bunch of scrubs. That's why. So exactly. I think it taught me to be around the right people and realize that hard does not mean impossible.
It's interesting because as you are talking, I can literally visualize my life's transformation and evolution based upon those two characteristics right there that you just gave. And in every single season, I've always strived to do the impossible. I believe every single year I want to be able to accomplish something or do something with a group of individuals that is challenging, whether it's running a marathon or a triathlon. Me, it's always physical exercises that also help challenge your mind as well. This past Saturday, we did our first Tough Mudder run where we're running through mud and 13 obstacles and all these different things. And that's one thing where hard isn't impossible. And what may look difficult at the beginning, just take one step at a time, one obstacle at a time, one challenge at a time. And once you see the finish line, it's this sense of relief. And that's the same thing in life. But the biggest evolution has come where I've realized that relationships are the breadcrumbs to your destiny. Who you are now is determined based upon who you are around. The conversations, the interactions, the places that you go, the conversations that you have, the information that you share, the values that are important to you. So as I've seen where I didn't have much, I look around and the people around me, they weren't responsible with where their finances were going. And then years later, like the room we just shared a few weeks ago at Heroic Public Speaking, where you're in there with billionaires and millionaires and people leading careers and public speakers and entrepreneurs and all of these people. And it helped me realize that I'm grateful for the work that I have done that has allowed me to even have the relationships to put me into a room like this.
Come on.
So somebody on here right now, that's the two things that Greg just gave you. Understanding that hard isn't impossible. It isn't. It may be hard, but it's not impossible. But everything that you want, you're going to have to go through something to be able to get to the other side. And number two, based upon what you want in your life, do the relationships that currently exist around you, do they exist to help you get to where you're trying to go? If we're creating a basketball team or a football team, can those people around you help you win the championship, which is your purpose, your dream, and your goal? And if they cannot, you have to audit your list, just like the CPA example. You have to audit the people around you so that you can be able to recruit, retain, and improve the people in your circle so that you can evolve and empower your dream and get to your goal. So, Greg, I'm interested in your perspective as well.
I think you said some powerful stuff there, and I think one of the best things that I get, and when I have an opportunity to talk to people, I give them this scenario, and I want everyone within the sound of our voice to try this, and this will examine if you're around the right people. So look into your text messages, your whatever, however you communicate. And everyone has their my friends. And I use quotation mark for those on the podcast who can't see my hands, right? That you have those people who are your friends. So look into your email, your text messages. When was the last time they sent you something that helped you become a better person or helped you get to a goal, right? My brothers always say, you have two types of people, those who are helping you get to a goal and those who are distracting you from a goal. So look into your media, how you communicate with people, and see when the last time someone called you and said, hey, I want to have you on a podcast show, or hey, here's a way for you to save money or invest or become a better father. I don't care what it is. Find out if they're doing that. And then most of you are not going to be able to do that. So here's the question that is very difficult to answer for many of you. Why are they in your life? What purpose do they serve? Because guess what? You can hang out and, have a couple of adult beverages with just anybody. You don't need those people in your life. Why are they there? And that's a question that you have to ask, because people will lead you down a path that is theirs, not the one that's yours. So the first thing I say is examine the people that are in your circle. And if they are not providing you with the energy to get you to the next level, ask yourself, why are they there? The other thing is, remember, discipline and consistency go hand in hand. Discipline is the ability to get from where you are to where you want to be. And whatever those things are, if you do them consistently, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. You will get to whatever it is that you want. But you have to be disciplined to do those things that most people are scared to do. People ask me, what is passion? You always talk about passion, okay? Passion is that thing. Passion is that thing that most people would quit at before it got hard, right? So if I want to be, I want to be in the NFL, I'm going to have to work hard. I'm going to have to get coaches. I'm going to have to work out. I'm going to have to run. I'm going to have to do it on the days when I don't feel like it. And most people would quit when times get hard. You just have to be that person not to quit, because guess what? The harder the goal, the less the competition, right?
I agree.
Not everyone gets to go to be, we'll pick some hard jobs, physician, lawyer, electrical engineer, some of those jobs that pay good, but guess what? Not everybody wants to go through the hard work. The percentage of people in the military is so low. Why? Because it's hard. The percentage of people that are playing professional sports is very low. Why? Because it's hard.
Exactly.
And I'm a little secret for some people. Some folks are lazy. Don't tell me that. But that's the truth. Some folks are lazy.
I think that a lot of people, and hopefully the people that are listening in right now, this is not you. It's the easy part is thinking about the goal. The easy part is writing down the goal. The even easier part is starting the goal. The challenge, though, and this is where the challenging part of it is continuing to commit to the responsibilities necessary to accomplish the goal. See, a lot of us want to get married, but a lot of us don't want to be married.
Mhm.
A lot of us want to be entrepreneurs, but we don't want to commit to the daily hurdles and obstacles that come with being a successful entrepreneur. A lot of us want these big, audacious goals, and we start on them because it sounds cute and great to tell people that you're doing, oh, I'm starting this book, I'm starting this business, oh, I just got engaged. But when the challenges come, are you still willing to commit to the responsibilities necessary to see the whole thing through? And one thing that I heard Kobe Bryant say years ago is when he commits to, whether it's a training plan, a workout, a diet, something, he makes a contract with himself. And even when all of the things in his mind come up, like, all right, we've done, 2 hours, but he committed to 2.5. Oh, we've done 100 shots, but he committed to 500 shots. He doesn't allow the noise or the doubt or the self-limiting belief to drive his life. It's the contract. And what Greg has talked about through this whole podcast is you have to be willing to commit to something despite how hard it seems. And you have to be willing to have the environment and the people around you that can help you accomplish that goal. Greg, it's a transformation that people have to go through with understanding these steps that you've been able to give them. What would be your advice or a piece of encouragement that you would give to people that want to start this journey, but recognize that past journeys haven't worked out for them?
I think the first thing is you have to figure it out what it is that you want. It can't be your wife's goal, your spouse's goal, your parents' goal. It can't be anybody else's. It has to be yours. Why? Because at some point, I go back to what we were just talking about, is it is going to be hard. And I don't care if it's, applying for a job and you keep getting what I call the no-go emails that, sorry, we're going in a different direction. Or if it's whatever your goal is in your entrepreneurial business and you keep getting no's, you've got to keep going and keep going and keep going. So you have to be truly passionate about it, and it has to be yours. I think the second thing is that you have to remember that it's about progress, not perfection. Okay. When we talked a little bit, Kyle, about, you and I are very similar in that we like some physical aspects and stuff to kind of somehow test and see if we still got what we think we got. So I think, and I tell people this, and I'm a big boy. You didn't get fat overnight. You didn't get overweight overnight. So guess what? You're not going to lose weight overnight either. So it starts with a little bit less here, a little more exercise there, a little bit less here, a little bit more there, and the progress slowly. Don't think you're going to go from 250 to 180 overnight, because it's not going to happen. Just like you're not going to be able to start a business and say, you know what? I want to start a business and I'm going to make in all this money and I'm going to be on these talk shows and it's going to be great. No, it doesn't work that way. Exactly. It takes years and hours of the grind to be able to get there. So think about, make sure it's yours. And you have to remember that it's progress, and it's about the progress. Don't try to be perfect. Exactly. And I think the last thing is enjoy the journey, because if you get to a certain spot and you're like, yep, I've reached it. What happens is once you reach whatever goal it is, you'll get lazy and then you'll go right back down. Then you got to climb yourself back up. So enjoy the journey. Yep, it's going to be a difficult journey, and you might even shed some tears, and that's okay. Why? Because what we're not going to do is we're not going to quit. We're going to be consistent, and it's going to be our dream.
I've heard so often that what you learn as a part of the process is so much more valuable than what you learn when you get the result. And the things that we learn on this journey of accomplishment, or of this journey of life or relationship or business, whatever it is, those lessons are invaluable. And you can take that information and transfer it into any world that you're going into, any industry. Greg, as we bring this to a close, my final question for you is, if you had 60 seconds to share a message with the world that had the opportunity to touch every single person's heart and everybody in the world had a chance to listen to it, what would be your message to those people?
I would say have purpose in what it is that you want to do. And the other thing is be passionate about it. I get up every day and I'm fired up about the day. Like today, I knew I needed to be on this show, so I got up extra early. I ran my errands and I wanted to be here. So make sure you have a purpose. Don't let your calendar dictate your day. You dictate your day. If you have certain things, make sure they're your make sure your priorities are the first things that you accomplish in the day, and make sure you're passionate about whatever it is that you're doing. If you can do those two things, I think you'll be set. I think you'll be set.
There it is. Greg, how can we find you online? How can we support you? What are some things that people can do to whether support you or shower, your success or whatever it is? How can we support you?
Yeah, you can find me on, I don't have enemies or I try to hide. So you can find me on Gregory Archbold on LinkedIn. I do normally a weekly motivational video, normally under about 2 minutes, that talks about leadership or just how to get fired up in the day. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and even on YouTube. Just type in Gregory Archbold and I should pop up. My email is gdarchbold@gmail. Reach out if you need me to come to your organization and fine tune some things for your organization. I'd be more willing to do so.
Greg, this has been a pleasure and an honor. First, thank you so much for your service, your military service, and all of the lives that you've saved, the people that you've empowered, and the people that you've transformed. Your gift of leadership and speaking and teaching and coaching and guiding is something that is really going to be such of a ripple of effect in so many people's lives. It's going to continue to transform communities in our world around us. So I just want to thank you and I honor you for that. I'm excited for where this journey takes you, whether it's in corporations, stages, platforms, anybody that's listening right now. I want you to support him. I want you to bring him in to support your organization. And if you're a leader and you need some fine tuning, I want you to be able to humble yourself first, understand that it's okay to ask for help. And then once you're ready, reach out to Greg. Reach out to Greg at the information below. Okay. This is another episode of the Writer's Game podcast where we help you magnify your voice and monetize your message. And we'll see you guys next episode.